the reason why I started writing is because I couldn't find the books I wanted to read. And therefore I said, well, there's a very easy solution to this. I'll just go ahead and write it myself. During the pandemic, I started actually writing. I mean, I've been doing storytelling for a long time. I have two girls that I used to tell Power Ranger stories and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stories when they were
Yes.
little, and it stuck with me. I mean, my torrid affair with science fiction started way back in the early '60s with Jules Verne. Then, of course, I went into Star Trek, but it all started for me with the black and white serials, Buck Rogers
Right.
and Flash Gordon with a sparkly rocket thing. So, this is really old, so I don't know if a lot of people are familiar with it.
Oh, trust me, this room is they're fans. They're fans.
Good. So, and I like the fact that back then it used to be, we want to be like the protagonist. Whereas today, a lot of the books are written because the people that are reading them are saying, I want the protagonist to be like me.
Right.
So, they want to see themselves in the book instead of aspiring to be the protagonist of the book. So, I wanted to do something like that. I wanted to do something a little different. I wanted to throw out a guy or a girl, because I also have a female main character in another book, that it's well put together. He's got his life, or her life going great. And then stuff happens. A lot of stuff, all of it bad. Then it gets worse.
Oh, God.
And then it gets worse. My first chapter is very dark. As you know, and it starts, of course, with the phrase "all funerals are sad."
Yes,
and it goes downhill from there.
Yeah.
So one of the things that happened to me was I gave it to a couple of people, beta readers, to take a look at them, and one of them got back to me and said, I have to say I hate you for what you did to me in the first chapter. I cried twice. But I want to know what happens, and towards the end, it was, they were going, wow, great, and
right.
So that's what I wanted. That's precisely, I want to take people on a roller coaster ride kind of thing. I'm an avid reader. I read, this year I haven't read that much. I've only read about 24 books to date. But I try to read a lot. I try to, keep up with what's out there. At the same time, I also love to read the classics. So, and I also read craft books. So, like, for instance, I just finished the Tropes Thesaurus, which is a fantastic book. So, I keep reading stuff. I read science fiction. I read horror.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like this question. Well, I'd have to say sci-fi, because my horror has a lot of humor in it. Not like Mistress Vampira here, who says she has a horror book they're cooking, which she won't say what's about, but I digress. My horror, it'll be coming out this year in September. It's called Zombies. That's What Happened.
Oh, nice.
And it's about a medical doctor that goes on vacation to the Florida Keys, of all places, really spooky place. And he's sailing solo because his girlfriend left him, and then he comes upon the key, his last key for the last day of his vacation, and the town is really quiet. There's very few people out. He goes to his to where he has a reservation, knocks on the door, nobody's answering, everything's boarded up. He doesn't know what's going on, and then when he insists, he meets a double-barrel shotgun and a very unfriendly guy going, "Shh, quiet, are you doing? And it goes downhill from there. Like I said, I love to put my characters in trouble.
The writer brother's asking if you have an audiobook for that, and if you need one, he may be able to help. So, do you have one?
The audiobook of for Trip is being produced as we speak.
Nice.
But I have another novel coming out. So, yes, I do need the help. All the help is welcome.
Because you love sci-fi so much, you have a list of your favorite sci-fi writers. Which tell them a little bit about your favorite ones, but why they're your favorite?
Love to. Obviously, Byrne was my first and earliest love. An uncle of mine gave me 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea when I was 8-ish. Mm-hmm. And I devoured that book in about a week. I mean, just loved it. The whole thing. And even more because I spoke with my grandfather at the time, and he had read it. And he told me that when he read it, it was amazing because there were electric lights and so on and so forth. And he told me, we didn't have that. That was amazing technology. And I'm sitting there going, really? I mean, you flip a switch and the light's right there. And he's going, now?
Right.
Back then, forget about it. And I'm going, so that's science fiction, huh? So, and fast forward about 5-6 years, I'm watching Star Trek and the little communicators and the huge frontal screen and so on and so forth. And I'm going, wow, that would be so cool. Fast forward to today, we all carry a cell phone in our pocket and have a 70-inch TV on our on our living room. So I really like Verne because he was such a visionary, and his ideas were fresh and at the same time were very new, very how can I put this? Very interesting. Then I moved on to Asimov, and he blew my mind. I mean, so many concepts, humanoid robots that didn't have feelings but emulated them. And it was an explicit interaction between the robot and the owner. Mm-hmm. You knew that this guy wasn't a guy, it was a machine, and it was supposed to be perfectly human for you. That blew me away. His three laws of robotics, amazing. I mean, what this guy thought about, and we're talking in his time, high technology was a vacuum cleaner. So right. I mean, this guy was way ahead of the curve.
Right ahead of time, yeah.
And then Herbert, of course, with Dune, which was a totally different concept. I mean, this is a guy who's going deep into ecology in a desert planet. And, that was just amazing to me to read and get into that world and, how to conserve water. And look at us now. Look at California, Right. 100% recuperation of water, recycling of water, all of this stuff that he discussed way back then when there was no need for it. Mm-hmm. Amazing.
One of the fun things about a book is I always like to read the book first, and then if something comes out later, then I like to see it. There's kind of, it's like a love-hate thing for me though, because you want it to be exactly like the book, but then when they make it into film and they change just a little something, you're like, you know what, that's not what happened. But at the same time, you're kind of excited to see it come to life because we're visual, right? And so we want that excitement of what we read to come to life so we can watch it. And do you at any point envision that for your books?
Absolutely. In my mind, I'm a pantser. In other words, I get this idea. Sometimes I mature it a little bit and then I sit down to write. But most of the times I get this idea, I sit down and I start banging it out. The way it plays out for me and many pantsers I've talked to, it works the exact same way. Literally, we're watching the movie in our mind and we're writing it down. And that's why editing is so difficult for pantsers. because in our mind the movie was perfect, but then we read it and that doesn't make sense. No, that's not it.
Yes.
So that's why plotters have a better time, because they sit down and they say, okay, this is going to be the inciting incident, and then this is going to happen, and then I'm going to put in this red herring right here, and then I'm going to, whereas pantsers, we just sit there and go, okay, let's see, let's paint this guy into a corner and see how we get him out. Whoops, he's in a corner now. Oh, shoot. The one thing I didn't do until last week was think about what the cast would be, who would be playing what. I try not to describe my characters too much,
right?
Because I want the reader to build a character,
right?
I one of the writers I interact with, she was shocked out of her socks one day because a reader reached out and said, wow, I love that scene. I absolutely could see the room with this here and that there and this over here. And she's in her mind, she was going, that's all wrong. That's not the room I described.
Right.
But that's great. I mean, the reader builds, the author is dead.
Their story.
Once the novel's out, the author is dead. It belongs to the reader.
I was laughing at the I was laughing at that when I was reading, and one of the characters' name is Maria.
Oh yeah, yes.
And I'm reading it, and I was laughing because there was so many similarities to me. I was like, was he in the room? Was that describing me? Because you were talking about how short she was, and of course I'm like really short, so I'm like, she only comes up to here, and I'm like, yeah, that's me too. What's your long-term vision for your writing? So I feel like he's like, we're at a work interview. That's what they always ask you at the job. If I hire you,
but
where
that's
do you
fine.
see yourself?
I mean, I work for the readers, so it's absolutely a job interview. I mean, you got that, in the first try. It's really ambitious, and I've only found out how ambitious it was after I published this guy, because I wanted to. My goal is to put out at least 4 books this year. They're already written. I'm still working on the covers and that kind of stuff, but they're already written. Most of them are edited. 2 of them are proofread. So all I need is the covers, load them up, and they're out. But they need a marketing plan, which I haven't done yet. Not because I didn't want to, it's because it's a lot of work. And then there's the other one that just needs a couple of tweaks plus the rest of it. And then next year, I want maybe, I'd have to talk to him, but yeah. Next year, I want to put out a series of 5 books. So I'm thinking of putting those out next year. Maybe not all 5 of them, because it'd be a lot of writing. But at least 3, plus the second installment of Zombies, because this one is Zombies. That's what happened. Yeah. And then next year, for next Halloween, I want to bring out Zombies. It was Zombies again.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to read a little bit of this. This must be from Trip, right? This part that I'm going to read that you have in here, the excerpt?
Yes.
Okay. The book starts with, all funerals are sad. Funerals with small white caskets are exceptionally sad. 3 caskets lay in front of me. 2 small ones, brilliant pearly white, and a big one, a shiny dark deep mahogany, dazzling in the sunshine. The sun is blazing in the cloudless blue sky, almost directly overhead. The birds in the nearby trees are singing happy. The world is filled with light, with hope. I wish it was raining and cold. I wish the bird songs would stop mocking my pain, my sadness, my despair. I'm deep in a dark place. Impotent and hopeless, I hate this. I pull my sleeve up to peek at my watch, almost 11. We're all wearing dark sunglasses against the glare. Mine hide my teary red eyes. The shirt sticks to my sides and back under my coat. My black necktie, an instrument of torture and constraint oppressing me. The discomfort reminding me I'm still alive. I wish I was dead. The voice of the preacher in a distant hollow. My fist tightened on my lap. My nails bite into my palms. My blood pounds in my ears. A constant drumbeat that lets me know that I'm alive and they're not. I glance at all 3 coffins and again wish there were 4 with me in one of them. This brings into focus when the police came to me and told me that they had died in a hail of bullets. I didn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. There are few people around open graves. Our immediate family is small. My wife's parents passed a while back, as had mine. No grandparents here to share my pain with. My sister, my wife's brother, some intimate friends. Those are the only ones near me. We have a lot of friends, many close co-workers. A few are, hang on, gotta scroll, sorry. A few are present. Involuntarily, a gaze lifts beyond the graves of my family. Several other groups are gathered around lost ones. A cemetery is doing rush business, I thought. My bitterness, something intense, something I could almost touch. A great tragedy for me personally. What happened ended my life. I cannot conceive how I will be going on. I want to die this very minute. I do not wish to live a second longer. That was hard for me. My heart is
Let me tell you something. That was fantastic. I loved it. I mean, no doubt. Oh my goodness gracious. That was great.
Thank you.
This one is my debut. So this one is the first one that's out. The other 3 will be out in just about every 2 months. And then, of course, in September, I'm throwing out Zombies. That's what happened.
You know, this has been so fun. Like, I really enjoyed myself here. I hope you did as well.
I had a fantastic time. Thank you so very much. Thank you to everybody that came. I mean, beyond grateful.
Thank you, guys. Enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you for being with us. Definitely appreciate it. And be good to each other, guys. Take care. Have a great weekend.